I told my dad his brother is the reason his first marriage fell apart. I found out from my Aunt Carol 14 months ago. She'd had 2 glasses of wine at my cousin's graduation dinner and said something she'd been sitting on for 20 years. My dad's first wife didn't leave because she fell out of love with him. She left because she found out his brother Danny had been feeding her false information for over a year, telling her my dad was seeing someone else, showing her a phone number he said belonged to another woman, manufacturing evidence that didn't exist because Danny had always wanted her for himself and my dad had gotten there first. My dad never knew any of this. He spent 20 years believing his first marriage collapsed because he hadn't been enough. I sat on that information for 14 months. I told myself it was because I didn't want to hurt him, but honestly, I didn't know how to hand someone a truth that reframes 20 years of their life in one conversation. What forced my hand was Christmas dinner last month. My dad's whole side of the family, 18 people, Danny sitting at the head of the table next to my dad the way he always did, laughing loudest, refilling everyone's drinks, doing the thing he'd always done where he made himself the center without anyone noticing. My dad leaned over at one point and said something quiet to Danny, and Danny laughed and clapped him on the shoulder, and I watched my dad smile at his brother with complete trust, and something in me just couldn't sit there anymore. I asked my dad to come help me with something in the kitchen. He followed me in and I closed the door. I told him I needed to tell him something and I needed him to hear all of it before he said anything. He leaned against the counter and nodded. I told him everything Carol had told me, the false information, the fake phone number, the 20 years Danny had let him carry a version of events that wasn't true. My dad's face didn't change dramatically. It just went very still in a way I'd never seen on him before. When I finished, he didn't say anything for a long time. Then he asked me how long I'd known. I told him 14 months. He closed his eyes. He walked back out to the dining room before I could say anything else. I followed him. He stood at the end of the table and looked at Danny and said his name once, just his name. The table went quiet because of the way he said it. Danny looked up, still half smiling, and asked what was up. My dad asked him in front of everyone if he'd gone to Sarah with stories about him cheating. Danny's smile stayed for just a second too long before it dropped. He said he didn't know what my dad was talking about. My dad said, Carol told me Danny. The table was completely silent. My Uncle Dave looked between them. Danny's wife put her fork down. Danny said Carol had always had it out for him, and whatever she'd told me wasn't true. My dad said his name again, quieter this time, and asked him to just tell him the truth. Danny looked around the table at everyone watching him, and whatever he saw made him decide to keep lying. He said it wasn't how it sounded, and there was more to it, and it was a long time ago. My dad pulled his chair out and sat down and didn't say another word to Danny for the rest of the night. Danny left before dessert. His wife followed him out looking at the floor. My dad sat at that table and finished his dinner and talked to everyone else normally, and I watched him do it and understood for the first time where I get that from. He called me the next morning. He didn't say I should have told him sooner, and I don't know if that was grace or if he just hadn't gotten there yet. He said he needed some time to sit with it. I told him I understood. He said he loved me and hung up. He hasn't spoken to Danny since. I don't know if he will. Now I'm stuck wondering if I'm the asshole.